A man was watching a movie late at night when he noticed something very strange. There was someone on screen who looked exactly like him. He stared at the screen, afraid to even blink. He'd never acted in any movie, so how could he suddenly appear in one? He pulled up the film's cast list and found the actor's name was Dick, but knowing the name wasn't enough. He followed the trail and tracked down every film this actor had ever made. After watching them all, he was certain the actor looked exactly like him. This was simply impossible to accept. Could this be a long-lost brother? Kevin couldn't sleep all night. He dug through his closet and found a photograph. In the picture, only he remained. The other half had been torn away. Everything was becoming more and more mysterious. If the resemblance was just a coincidence, then where did this torn photograph come from? To get to the bottom of these mysteries, Kevin tracked down actor Dick's address, dressed himself up to look like the famous Dick, and showed up outside his talent agency. At first, Kevin was a little scared, but the security guard actually mistook him for Dick.
Hey, long time no see.
The guard greeted him warmly, and Kevin was startled. He hurriedly explained he was just passing by the building, but just as he was about to turn and leave, he was stopped. The guard said there was a letter for him. Kevin pretended to be Dick and took the letter, then quickly left. He never expected such a huge payoff from this visit. Following the address on the letter, Kevin successfully found actor Dick's home. He looked up at the windows upstairs, planning to just go knock on the door, but if he went inside, there might be family members in there. How would he handle that? Kevin stood downstairs thinking for a long time, and finally decided to try making a phone call first. Using the number on the letter, he successfully dialed Dick's home phone. To his surprise, Dick's wife answered, and she mistook Kevin for her husband.
I'm calling to speak to Dick. I'm sorry.
The wife thought her husband was joking around, which was why he wasn't admitting who he was. Kevin kept trying to explain, sensing something was off. He quickly hung up. Could his voice really be identical to Dick's too? After returning home, Kevin became increasingly dazed, his heart filled with unease. He tried dialing that number again. This time, Dick himself answered. Kevin immediately explained everything that had happened, suggesting they should meet. To prove he was telling the truth, he asked Dick to listen carefully to both their voices, but Dick thought he was a lunatic.
Hey, okay. Listen to me. Never call me again.
The wife standing nearby found this strange too. Her husband was always fooling around. Dick said it was just some crazy person calling, but couldn't give a specific reason. He only said the lunatic rambled on about nonsense, and that he'd written down the number to report it to the police. The wife didn't believe his explanation at all. She was convinced some girl was contacting her husband. With zero trust between them, they had a huge fight.
It was a man! It was a man!
Faced with his wife's accusations, Dick had no defense. After the argument, Dick turned and left. His pregnant wife chose to say nothing more. That night, she still couldn't sleep, her mind racing about what her husband might have done. To find out if her husband was cheating, she found the number he'd written down. After looking it up, she discovered Kevin's address. The next day, the wife went to Kevin's university. Though she was already 6 months pregnant, she was more worried about whether her husband had betrayed her. Half an hour later, Kevin sat in a chair by the entrance. The wife happened to witness the scene. She couldn't believe her eyes. How could someone have the exact same face as her husband? It wasn't until Kevin greeted her first that she noticed Kevin and her husband Dick were different. Kevin was a college professor, soft-spoken and polite. Her actor husband Dick was more like a playboy. Could her husband be putting on an act to deceive her? Their voices sounded exactly the same. She could only tell them apart by their behavior and mannerisms. After Kevin finished his break and left, the wife immediately called her husband to confirm. Now things didn't add up. There really was someone who looked exactly like her husband. Back home, the wife looked stunned, barely able to look at her husband's face. Her mind kept replaying that other man's image. Dick beside her also realized things were serious. He quickly explained to his wife about that phone call. When she mentioned she'd already seen Kevin, Dick decided it was time to respond to Kevin. Otherwise, if Kevin ever impersonated him, wouldn't his wife be stolen away? Kevin on the other side was also unhappy. Finally, Dick agreed to meet. They arranged to meet at a hotel. Kevin walked into a room as planned, and waited until Dick appeared before him. The two stood in silence, neither able to believe something so miraculous. Dick broke the awkward atmosphere. He told Kevin to hold out his hands. Strangely, their hands were exactly the same. Dick began to wonder if they were twins, who might have been separated as children. Then he lifted his leather jacket, saying he had a scar on his ribs. Seeing this, Kevin was terrified. He felt like he was talking to a mirror. He quickly handed over the letter he'd taken under false pretenses, and hurried out of the hotel. But a question lingered in Dick's mind. Why was Kevin so afraid to see him? Soon after, Kevin had dinner with his mother at a restaurant. He asked her if she had given birth to twins, but his mother immediately shut down his suspicion. Wouldn't she know how many children she'd given given birth to? Then his mother brought out a bowl of blueberries. Strangely, Kevin didn't even like blueberries. Why would his mother bring out something her son didn't like? In reality, blueberries were Dick's favorite, but Kevin had no idea. Meanwhile, Dick returned home and told his wife the situation was handled. Kevin wouldn't bother them anymore, but after calming down, he still worried. His own wife had been contacted by Kevin. He strongly suspected that someone who looked exactly like him might have impersonated him to meet his wife. If that were true, had his wife already cheated on him?
Did you fuck my wife?
With this suspicion, he followed Kevin. He discovered Kevin actually had a girlfriend. This instantly sparked Dick's curiosity. After all, he'd always been a player. He followed the girlfriend, and when she got on a bus, he even abandoned his motorcycle to follow her. Keep in mind, Dick was a big star. All those perks that came with the entertainment industry, he'd certainly enjoy his share. The stalking continued all the way to the girlfriend's workplace. After seeing her up close, something stirred in Dick's heart. An evil idea took shape.